Welcome everybody. I'm Andrea Miller and I'm a registered dietitian and certified diabetes educator here at Community Hospitals and Wellness Centers in Bryan. I'd like to welcome our live audience and viewers at home to Live It, Oodles of Zoodles. And I'd like you all to help me welcome our special guest chef today, Chris Cook. So the question I've been dying to ask is, Chris,
yes,
can you cook?
I can.
Okay. So now that we've got that out of the way. So today we're going to be using some zucchini. It's officially August in Northwest Ohio, and it seems like everybody has an abundance of zucchini. So we're going to use them in a fun way. We're going to make zoodles. So what's a zoodle? It's a zucchini noodle. And there's lots of different ways to accomplish the zucchini noodle. So we're going to go through and show you some easy ways to make noodles out of your zucchini today. We're going to keep it simple, and we're just going to put our zoodles in a marinara sauce, although there's lots of different ways that you can add flavor to your zoodles. Chris, I understand that you are the zoodle king.
I wouldn't say king.
I don't know. I've heard that you like your zoodles.
I do like zoodles. I mean, they're healthy. It's an alternative to pasta.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
And it's a very bland. Mm-hmm. So you can really flavor it in a few different ways. Marinara one way. You can use a pesto. You can use olive oil.
Yeah, I saw some recipes using pesto, and that's the next recipe I'm excited to try. Which you all have a recipe for pesto that we did last year, I think this month. So that'd be another excellent combination. I've seen some people doing like a French onion type of zoodle. So lots of different things that you can do. Lots of
Cajun seasoning.
Cajun,
down in Louisiana, they use it with a Creole seasoning.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. And the zucchini isn't the only vegetable that you can make noodles out of. The fancy term for it is called spiralizing. And you can use like butternut squash is another one that's commonly spiralized. I've seen beets. People do like potatoes or apples, things like that. Carrots. Yeah. And Green Giant actually has a line of spiralized vegetables out right now that are frozen. That's actually how I started using some spiralized vegetables, and they're available at Walmart. The zucchini, they have zucchini, which it does tend to be a little bit watery in the frozen section. Zucchini traditionally doesn't freeze very well, right. But I did really enjoy their butternut squash, carrot, and beet variety, so those are some options as well if you don't want to spiralize the vegetables yourself. So zucchini, fun facts about zucchini. Here's your trivia question for the day. What is the world record for the largest zucchini ever grown? Any guesses? And if not, we'll send it out to the audience.
We'll say 4 feet.
4 feet?
Yes.
Okay, it's actually longer than that.
Yeah,
I have it in inches, but it's 69.5 inches. Which I'm 63 inches on a good day and without heels. So that's taller than I am.
It's a big zucchini.
That's a big zucchini.
Yeah.
Do you happen to know the weight? What's your guess on the weight? 65 pounds. It's the biggest zucchini ever grown.
That's a heavy zucchini as well.
Yeah, so we have our trivia question out of the way. So that's not the ideal size for a zucchini.
No.
Shopping for zucchini or growing them in your garden, it seems like everybody's like, let's get the biggest zucchini that we can. How big can we grow this zucchini? And as the zucchini gets larger, it's going to get more seeds in it, higher water content, and it doesn't taste as good. So actually keeping them about this size, this is the perfect size for a zucchini. So let's get started doing some spirals. Chris, I'm going to have you, and you don't have to even put your gloves on yet. We're going to do, so I'm going to have you grab a zucchini. Mm-hmm. Chris has my fancy spiralizer over here. And by fancy, I mean it looks fancy, but I actually got this for $10 at Aldi. And you said you got one at Big Lots for about
$10.
$10.
Yep.
So you can find spiralizers pretty cheap. This is a nice one. It has a crank on it, so yeah, you can show us how you do it. You cut off each end of the zucchini, yep, and we're just gonna
Want
put
to make
it.
sure you get it nice and firm on each end.
Yep, there's kind of like a little rod on the one end and some spikes on the other. And then you just crank it. And it comes out with some beautiful oodles of Zoodles. And I'm actually, so I'm going to have you pause for a second. So these Zoodles can actually get really, really long. I was trying to serve it the other day. I'm going to cut them a little bit. I was trying to serve it the other day, and it was really difficult, actually, because the Zoodles were like as tall as I am, and it was just one constant Zoodle. So I find it helps if you just kind of cut them a little bit as they come out of the machine here. So this is a really easy way. You can get really expensive spiralizers too. You can buy attachments for like KitchenAid mixtures and so forth, but you may end up spending like $100 or so for a spiralizer, which at that point you can buy them frozen. So so $10 I was willing to spend. Actually, those are kind of breaking up now, so we're good.
Once you cut them, they start to break off
Okay.
themselves. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been really happy with this one so far. And look, there's oodles of them. Just oodles and oodles of beautiful Zoodles. I can't stop saying it.
It just pulls right through.
Yep. So yeah, you get this funny. It kind of takes out some of the seeds. You get this funny-looking thing. So you can either throw it away or cut it up and put it in a salad, or even put it in this dish. So that's one method of spiralizing. And actually, if you want to go ahead and do the second one, I'm going to run through. Oh, I think I took my knife over there.
Sure did.
I'll steal. Perfect. So I'm going to show you another way if you don't want to buy a spiralizer. You can do this by hand. So I'm just going to cut off both ends again. And if you take a vegetable peeler and just kind of start peeling, and then you lay them flat. So this is a little bit more labor intensive, so I'm not going to do this many that way. But just to kind of show you, it can be accomplished by hand. So we're going to start stacking them up. So I have a few there. Okay, so you get the idea. And then you take your knife and just kind of slice through them. Like that. Being careful. And then you kind of get, some noodles that way as well. So there are some different methods to it. So the big problem with the Zoodle is the water. So zucchini are actually about 90% water. So there's lots of water in them. So the problem that I've had making Zoodles is, okay, I get these beautiful Zoodles, and then I cook them, and then there's a puddle of water. And then, so a couple different solutions to that. The first one, we're gonna try right now. So I'm gonna steal some of your Zoodles over there.
Sure. There's plenty.
Plenty of Zoodles. Oodles,
Oodles of Zoodles.
to be exact. Sure. Okay, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of salt and sprinkle the salt over the Zoodles. So I like doing on experiments in front of a live audience on live TV. I'm not live, but so this is the first time I've ever done this. We're gonna let our Zoodles just kind of sit there in the salt. And the salt helps to draw out some of the liquid, so they're in a colander, and we're going to see if we can get some liquid out of these as the show goes on. So we'll wait for those. So some of the Zoodles you can actually cook in the crock pot. So we're not going to do it now, but you can take the Zoodles, throw them in a crock pot, pour some sauce over them, and then let them cook for like 2 to 3 hours on low. You don't need a lot of cooking to the Zoodles because you kind of want them to stay crisp tender. But then again, you're going to end up with a lot of liquid in the pan or in the crock pot once they're done cooking. So an easy solution to that, and I know it kind of takes away the whole vegetable noodle theme, but in all honesty, I like a little bit of pasta anyway, but adding a little bit of pasta at the end of the cooking, you can either do a cooked pasta right before serving, or you can do a raw or uncooked pasta about 30 minutes before serving in the crock pot, and just let the pasta cook for about 30 minutes, and that pasta is going to suck up all the water. So that's kind of my foolproof method to getting a no water zucchini noodle or zoodle, marinara zoodle, I guess, is to add a little bit of pasta to soak up that extra water. So, and the reason why I like that is because just having zucchini noodles for a meal for me, I'm going to be hungry like 10 minutes later. So I need a little bit more sustenance in my life. And also, if you're serving this to kids, the pasta is a little bit more familiar to them. So they might be more likely to try it that way.
Yeah,
So.
when I first did it with my kids, I used it as the substitute for spaghetti.
Yeah.
So I used the chicken meatballs,
Yep.
and they were a little more susceptible using a regular pasta instead of
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
it helped bridge the gap, so to speak.
Exactly. Sometimes you have to take, small steps.
Baby steps.
Baby
Right.
steps in the right
Absolutely.
direction. So we're going to actually cook some, so you can see the process. We're going to cook some on the stovetop too. So I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil to my pan. We're going to take the rest of those zoodles and just toss. Wow!
It's a lot of
Look how long they are. All right. Oodles and oodles of zoodles. All right. That's the last time, I promise.
It won't be the last time. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very catchy catchphrase.
It is.
Yeah.
I love the title of today's show. I thought of it myself. Okay, so these don't need to cook for very long at all. So once they start cooking a little bit, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of sauce. The recipe has a pretty wide range for the amount of sauce because it really depends on how much zucchini you're using. For this amount, you probably only need about a half a cup of
Maybe,
sauce.
yeah.
So you don't need a lot. And you can always add more if you want. One other way that I thought of to make sure that you don't have a lot of water in your finished product, after you're done cooking the zucchini noodles on the stovetop, you can actually throw them in the colander and drain some of the water out that way.
You just don't want to put a lid on it. If you put a lid on it, it
Right.
steams it and then it
Yep.
adds water to it. So.
Absolutely. So maybe we won't get that much water today. I would also imagine that the larger the zucchini you're using, if there are a lot of seeds, the more moisture is going to be in it.
But
So that would make more water. These actually look good. I'm not seeing any water in here at all right now, so maybe we can keep them. Just plain noodles. All right. And now I'm starting to see it. As it's starting to cook just a little bit more, I see the water kind of starting to seep out a little bit. Okay, we're going to add the sauce. And some people might eat zucchini noodles completely raw. You could use this in a salad too.
Sure.
All right, so I just tossed a little bit of our sauce in there. Giving it a little stir. So this is actually, if you think about the full process of actually making the noodle and cooking it, like it's pretty much done right now. So that is way faster than bringing water to a boil and, boiling your noodles.
they really only need to cook about
Yeah. So
start to finish 7 minutes, and they'll be at the right
Yep.
texture.
So there's not a ton of water in here, but like I would probably
is
want it
some,
a
yeah.
little bit more dry, so you can kind of see, those of us in the audience, how pretty they look. But there is some water. You can kind of see it. But this stove actually heats really well. It's very hot. So it's kind of cooking a lot of the liquid out, but just to kind of show you the concept, we'll just take a little bit of our, we're using whole wheat pasta, which I do recommend using whole wheat if you can. Always whole wheat, whole grain products. So I didn't even add very much pasta in there, and it already, kind of took a lot of the water out. So that looks like a good consistency to me. It smells great. So yeah, beautiful green noodles and just a little bit of pasta and a beautiful red marinara sauce. So looks like a good dinner to me. All right, so let's get started on our chicken. We're kind of gonna do a Parmesan chicken or chicken Parmesan recipe today to go with our Zoodles. So let's get our spiralizer out of the way. We're not going to use that anymore.
You didn't want to
Spiral. Well, that's funny because the chicken actually wasn't what I thought it would be today, but we're trying something new, and I actually think it's going to turn out better. I asked for thinly sliced chicken breast, and I had thought it might be like a cross, like a whole chicken and kind of like a whole chicken breast kind of pounded out nice and thin. But we have thinly sliced chicken breast. But actually this is a really fun idea if people have kids.
Sure, yeah.
Kids like picking things up and dipping, and it also worked really well for our samples today. And the consensus was it's also going to taste better too, because it's not going to be as dry. So sometimes happy mistakes happen in the Live It kitchen.
Right.
So we're going to roll with this today. We're going to get rid of our zucchini ends. Get some of this out of the way. So yeah, you can choose to do either thinly sliced chicken breast or like cut down the middle thinly sliced chicken breasts that are like pounded and still look like an actual chicken breast. So whichever one
chicken
you want.
strips.
Yeah, we'll call these chicken strips.
Yeah.
So traditional breading station, we're gonna crack an egg and a 1/4 cup of milk into the small bowl. And then we're going to whisk that together. Chris is a great cook. I will just have you know, he is doing a great job. You can tell he's been in a kitchen before.
I have children. I have no choice but to be in the kitchen.
Yes. When you have children, it seems like they just eat all the time, don't they?
They like
so
to.
You have to be in the kitchen all the time. And then our breading, we're going to use 3/4 cup of panko breadcrumbs. And my preference would be a whole wheat panko, but it's actually, I found it one time and it was like on sale and I bought 3 boxes of it, but now I haven't been able to find it. So 1/4 cup of Parmesan, a teaspoon of garlic powder,
Maybe.
which is, get stuck in there, and 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning. Stir that up. We're actually going to throw a little bit of salt and pepper in there too. Lots of pepper, maybe a little bit of salt. Which reminds me, while you're stirring that, we're going to come check on our zucchini over here. No water. It's dry. But maybe we can squeeze it. Is it coming out? Nope. Okay, so no water yet. And this is why we do experiments, right?
That's right. You don't know till you
Curious
try.
mind, curious mind. The lady on the YouTube video said it worked.
She lied. Maybe it takes a little time. I mean,
Maybe.
It's been a few minutes.
Yeah,
so,
it hasn't been that long. We'll give it a little bit more time. Okay.
You ready?
Yeah, so I think we're gonna don our gloves now.
Probably a good idea. It is chicken.
I am not, so I have a hard time with meats. I don't know if I've mentioned before, but I do not like touching meat.
You didn't mention that, but you also didn't mention your trivia question that you hit me with either. So I mean, you do pretty good at not mentioning things, as we've learned.
So we've decided today, or Chris has decided, that now that he got a surprise trivia question, all future episodes will have a trivia question.
Trivia question. I will be present at the next limit to make sure that this continues.
All right, so we're going to take some of our strips and put them into our egg.
You don't like touching the chicken, so
you can do it. Go for it.
I got you. So.
Into our egg wash,
Right, so
and then go ahead and toss it right into the breading.
we'll let that sit for a minute. We'll do a couple pieces.
Perfect.
There goes the towel.
Gotcha.
Hey,
Got your
good
back.
catch, yeah. Teamwork, right?
Teamwork.
Teamwork.
Right. So then we have a cookie sheet with a piece of parchment paper on it. And just go ahead and lay them out on the sheet. Teamwork.
Teamwork.
Looking great. So the other things that we have here while we're working on that, we have some marinara sauce and Parmesan cheese and some fresh basil. So unfortunately we don't have an oven in here today and nobody wants to sit here while this cooks, so I'm just going to talk you through it. After we get all of this breaded, it's going to go into a 400-degree oven. And the time really depends on how thick your chicken is. So on the recipe, you know, assuming more of a chicken breast that's sliced down the middle and kind of pounded thin, about 12 to 15 minutes or so would be appropriate. But these are going to be way overcooked at 12 to 15 minutes. So I was, your guess was 8 to 10?
Probably.
So
No more
it's
than
probably not going to be very long that these need to go into the oven. A good idea to have in your kitchen, it has changed my cooking, is a good thermometer, an instant read thermometer. Oh, it's the best device that I've ever purchased. My husband thanks me every time I use it because I used to just overcook the heck out of my meat and it was just dry all the time. And I didn't mind because I knew my family wasn't getting salmonella from it. But my husband has appreciated the use of my thermometer now that I get it to exactly 165 degrees and then I take it out of the oven and I don't cook it anymore. So the chicken has remained nice and moist, as well as other meats that I've cooked are a lot more moist now. So a good meat thermometer is a good thing to have in your kitchen. And again, chicken needs to be cooked to that 165. Right. So 400 degrees, and then after they come out and they're done, you may want to like slide them closer together and then drizzle a little bit of the marinara sauce over the cooked chicken and then sprinkle it with some Parmesan cheese. Pop it back in the oven for another minute or so just to melt that cheese. And then slice up some basil and garnish it with some basil, if you have it. You don't have to do that if you don't have fresh basil, but it does add a little bit of freshness to the dish and makes it taste delicious. I love basil. It's probably my favorite herb, and basil goes really, really well with Italian food. So, well, that looks pretty good to me. We'll stop there. Then we have the cookie sheet full. So, again, that's what our little chicken strips look like. And you know, again, happy mistakes that happen. My kids would go crazy for this size of little chicken strip right now. And it brings me to another point. Just because we're using Parmesan and Italian seasoning, you could do something very similar with different types of seasoning, like powdered ranch, like the dip mix that you find in the salad dressing aisle. And I've also used like a buffalo seasoning, like the McCormick buffalo, dry buffalo seasoning. And I'll just put like a couple tablespoons in the panko with it and do like exactly this. And
Any kind of Cajun seasoning.
oh yeah, so you can, yeah, you can do a lot of different things with chicken like this. And it's a really easy chicken strip versus like a really processed chicken nugget.
Absolutely.
So just taking it, you know, a little bit healthier
Most definitely.
for the whole family. So So we're done with our zoodles and our chicken. So does anybody in the audience have any questions today? Do you have any questions?
Oh, I have
Chris?
no questions.
No questions from Chris.
No,
Any other zucchini trivia questions?
no.
No.
I'll help with the trivia question for next month. Don't worry.
All right. So, well, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, no,
today,
thanks for having
me. You did a great job.
Oh, I appreciate it.
I've enjoyed cooking with you, and thanks to our audience members and our viewers at home for joining us today for Live It, Oodles of Zoodles.
Zoodles. She did. I told you she'd
Last
say it.
time.
Yeah, yeah.